Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Dikir Shadul Fikri. My student number is 45. In this video, I'd like to tell you about research methodology, that is a thesis analysis. A dissertation that I choose that is from Alan R. Macedo. He designed a dissertation about team teaching, who should really be in charge. A look at reverse versus traditional team teaching. Team teaching can be defined as a group of two or more people or teachers working together to plan, conduct, evaluate, and learning activities for the same group of learners. According to Quinn and Cantor in 1984, divine team teaching is a simply teamwork between two qualified instructors who together make presentations to an audience. There appear to be two broad categories of team teaching. Category A is two or more instructors are teaching the same students, while the category B, the instructor work together do not necessarily teach the same group. The title of this thesis is that team teaching, who should really be in charge? A look at reverse versus traditional team teaching by Alan R. Macedo in March in 2002. We go into the next page, that is aim of the research. There are two main aim of this research. The first is the primary aim of this research is on reverse style, or NET as led, or native English teacher as leader, and GTE assisted, or Japanese teacher of English as assistants, versus traditional GTE led and ALT assisted, or assistant language teacher in terms of team teaching. The book stated that in Japan for the past 14 years, team teaching has been associated primarily with the GET program. However, there are other programs that are preceded the GET program. The two examples of this include the British English Teaching Scheme, or BETS, and the Mombusho English Fellows, or MEF. In addition, team teaching has developed abroad as well. The secondary aim is to identify how these schools, especially in Japan, are making changes in the system in order to accommodate a greater need to make team teaching more effective and practical for both ELT and GTEs. Participating schools have had to make great efforts to refine team teaching methods. This dissertation hypothesis is that reverse team teaching, or RTT, is a more predominantly used tactic than traditional team teaching, or triple T. The justification for this standpoint is that RTT focuses on maximizing the strength of ALT and ETs and GTEs to greater potential. We go into the next page, that is thesis objectives. The objective of this dissertation on team teaching are the following. There are 5 of them. The first is discuss the history and present status of team teaching in Japan. The second one is illustrate the differences between various team teaching styles. The third one is report advantages, disadvantages revealed in questionnaires in returns. Fourth, compare and analyze the survey's results with the original hypothesis. And the fifth, that is suggest pedagogical implication from the research data and result. Next, we go into the next page, that is literature review. A background of English education in Japan. After the Meiji Restoration in 1868, Meiji Restoration is an event that happened in 1868 under control of Emperor Meiji. That was an event that restored practical imperial rule into the Empire of Japan at that time. Japan re-emphasized the importance of education in an attempt to become globally and technologically competitive with other countries in the world. English also become recognized as an integral part of higher education. Consequently, over 90% of all Japanese people have studied English for 6 or more years since its first introduction into the educational system, according to Wharton in 1968. Another factor that made English an important school subject was the enormous pressure placed on students to pass junior or senior high and university entrance exam. As a result, although English was not a required subject, most Japanese students choose to take EFL courses for the reason above, that is for passing the junior or senior or university exams. Next, we go into the next page, that is GTM, or grammar translation method. With an emphasis on reading and writing skills, the chosen style instruction was the grammar translation method or GTM. Although this technique is gradually giving away to more communicative strategies, it continues to be used in Japan because proficiency in spoken English is not required for passing junior or senior high or university entrance examination. The GTM is also problematic in issue of the team teaching relationship between ALT and GTEs. Um, uh, these learning and teaching styles may have direct influence on how both parties perceive the way English should be taught in Japan. With the grammar translation method rooted firmly in the foundation of Japanese education, the demand for teacher with better speaking listening ability caused a revival and search for new methods. The most recent changes involved in the development of English language education in Japan. That was introduction of team teaching. The LT Handbook by Clare in 1988, because the GTE learned the foreign language and was trying to teach the same foreign language in the same system. You may not know any other way to teach. ELTs as a product different educational system may have been exposed to alternative ways of interaction, which may breathe new life into traditional teaching methods. To this point, for reasons including raising standard of English and achieving higher proficiency level, still remains a heated topic today. That is according to Clare in the year 2000. Next, we go into the next page, that is native speakers of English. Shimaoka and Yashiro in 1990s state that because English was banned during the war, teachers who had a good command of English, especially listening and speaking ability, were hard to find. After the end of World War II, the Japanese Ministry of Education reinstated that the importance of speaking ability in its publication of the new course of study. With English reappearing in the core curriculum, recruiting teachers who had a good command and communication skill of English, especially listening and speaking skills, became a very challenging task. Even though the Ministry of Education continued to stress the importance of these two skills, communicative competence was difficult to achieve because the total number of words and phrases to be learned was rather limited. For this reason, the demand to incorporate native English speakers arose. Unfortunately, according to Tajino and Tajino in 2000, as the demand exceeded supply, most of these native English speakers were hired without any credentials, training, or EFL experience. So, during that hard time, Japanese often hire the people that is not have any credential or training or EFL experience, but they are native speakers of English. There are some disadvantages that native speakers have in Japan. 90% of GET or Japanese exchange teacher program are not certified teachers. GTEs and Japanese teaching English often complain that GET program basics requirement and low percentage of certified ELTs have often caused frustration and successful lessons in the classroom. Other complaints range from ELTs having little metalinguistic ability to lack a professional sense. As these programs continue to grow, a collective cooperation between ministries becomes necessary for the development of the one central agency. Next, we go into the next page, that is Japanese teacher of English. In spite of the increasing number of ELTs in Japan, it is argued, according to Long in 2000, Lee in 2000, Meijers in 1999, and Macedo in 1997, that is, the GTEs maintain many more advantages over their ELTs in teaching of EFL. These advantages make them irreversible as English instructors in their homeland because they provide the following. The first, GTEs maintain high cultural awareness of Japanese students. Second one, they are understand of the Japanese educational system since they are native to it. And the third one is knowledge of classroom management parameters. And the fourth, professional accountability as certified teachers. Cultural awareness is an area of interest for all teachers, especially for teachers who have endured the same rigors as their students in learning a new language. according to Long in the year 2000, argues that local teachers have a greater understanding of the cultural background and linguistic needs of their students than do their ELT and ETs. Takada in the year 2000 points out that this kind of level of understanding cannot be accomplished by simply importing native English speakers into the classroom. To an extent, many ELTs or NEETs may have been able to sympathize with the difficulties of learning a second language. But this may be irrelevant because GTEs share the L1 or Japanese language and have learned the same L2 English as their students. So the teachers and the students have the similar English what they have learned. This relationship support the argument that GTEs may have a greater capacity to understand the difficulties students are having in this learning English or new language. GTE's background and understanding of Japanese education system are more than GETs. GTEs is Japanese teachers of English, while GET is Japanese exchange of teachers of English. GTEs can be better understands what is acceptable and both culturally and legally in terms of discipline. GTEs has a professional accountability, and GTEs are more familiar with the specific educational goals, curriculum, and entrance exams requirements. GTEs have a clear advantages over their less experienced, more contemporary ELTs, according to Magis in 1999. GTEs and ALTs may differ greatly in opinion, but teaching English for the purpose of exam preparation versus the teaching of English for effective communication, it is different. For this reason, modification may be needed in either aims of exam requirements of GET's program. According to Childs in the year 2001, as that with respect to an exam, change can be seen as a nationwide center English test. For the college, screening now contains almost no direct question about grammar. Style of theme teaching. Shimaoka and Yashiro in the 1990 describe reverse theme teaching or RWT as the ALT or NET being the leader and the GTE being the assistant. RWT is used primarily when the NETs are employed full-time. ELTs visit classroom and on one-shot or basis or GTEs place little emphasis on the curriculum and or material being taught. GTEs is the leader and the ALT and GET program intended assist the GTE. Many ALTs complain about this pattern because they often feel as if they are treated only as an assistant or alternative to a tape recorder, according to Kobayashi in the year 2001. Perhaps the most satisfying theme teaching pattern is one in which GTEs and ALTs share responsibility and complement each other in the classroom. On this arrangement, the GTEs handles most of the reading and writing instructions, and the LLT focuses on the speaking and listening training. There are many styles of teaching being practiced in Japan. According to Shimaoka and Yashiro in the 1990s, state that depending on the policy of the boards of education and individual schools, procedures and emphasis in the classroom differ greatly. This is not problematic for the teaching of EFL as it promotes experimentation of various styles of theme teaching. The fact that the theme teaching is relatively new in the field of TESOL encourages teachers to take their own initiative and experiment without relying too heavily on just one style. So they are doing researching which style is the fit for Japanese people and Japanese students. Next we go into the next page, that is research design. The corpus of this particular section was designed to reveal how ELTs or NETs and GTEs feels about their theme teaching situation by gathering data via questionnaire. because the focus on this research was on both GET and non-GET related in team teaching. The difficulty in this surveys of this type was locating schools that had on an ALT or NT on staff. So not all the schools have staff that are native speakers of English. In order to receive enough feedback to ensure the objectivity, schools participating in GETs were not targeted directly. Both a time-efficient and cost-effective method of surface distribution or collection was essentially the planning of this research. Even though there are over 6,000 ELTs presently employed by GET program, according to Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the year 2000, this is still comparatively low percentage compared with the 11,220 junior and 5,481 senior high schools, both in public and private schools in Japan. So there is not so much ALT or NEETs in Japan right now. Yeah, that is the case right now. The population or sample used. The initial number of surveys sent to the junior and senior high schools was 50-50 respectively. The percentage of public to private schools was also divided evenly at 50-50. The reason this target group was selected is that these are two levels where team teaching is being conducted, because solo teaching is more prevalent at the university level, and then until commenced in April in 2002. These two areas were not included in this research. The initial number of surveys sent to junior and high school 50 respectively, as I mentioned before. By looking at the location and techniques, to ensure that feedback will be objective by location, the surveys were sent nationwide in Japan. There are a total of 47 prefectures in Japan, according to NOMA in 1993. 46 of the prefectures received 2 surveys each. This equivalent to 94. So Tokyo was sent the remaining 6 since it contains the larger numbers of schools. So the other prefectures received only 2 surveys, while Tokyo received 6 to get 100 in total. The sampling techniques chosen for distributing the questionnaire was by electronic mail, and then the reason is that this method had been selected is because it seemed the most time and cost efficient to send the surveys 100 total surveys to all over the schools. Alternative methods considered were by telephone, mail, and fax. However, these were all eliminated primarily because of excessive cost and loss of time. Materials and procedures that is used. The materials used for the data collection were two pages of questionnaires. The first page is for ELT and ETs, and the second one is for GTEs. The objective of having these 2 pages of questionnaires is to obtain the data from both prospective teachers that working in the same school. This will ensure a balance of GTEs and ALT or NTEs feedback. As I mentioned before, the initial method chosen for distribution of the surveys was by email. After compiling a list of email addresses, the surveys was sent simultaneously to all 100 chosen schools. Actually, the survey was attached a file with a basic introduction letter explaining to whom it should be forwarded. The main findings of this research is that the changing style of teaching in Japanese education system. It is about finding the effective way among these team teaching style, a reverse or traditional style, by looking at the combination of GTEs and GETs in teaching. Also, the feedback from ELTs or NETs also help to identify or find the effective way in team teaching. I think that's all that I can say. Hopefully you understand with my explanation. Thank you for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.